Hello, everybody. My name is Malte Dummel. I'm the CFO of xbAV, or xPension in English. We're a pension management company. Now, if you do live and breathe the fun world of pension and retirement saving, there's a good chance you will have come across us, in particular in our home market in Germany. For the small minority among you who don't, let me give you a few points about the company. I personally joined last year when our chairman and lead investor, Lars Henriks, approached us. And first I was intrigued. Then I did a bit of work on the company, and I was excited. And then I did a lot more work on the company. And then I decided to quit my job at Goldman Sachs for 10 years, move to Munich with a wife and 2 little children to help run this company. At the end of the day, what we try to do here is we try to make pensions accessible for everybody. What does that mean? It means helping employees and consumers make the right retirement saving decisions. Because, let's face it, it's a pretty boring and stuffy topic if you don't do it properly, and at the end of the day, most people do too little and too late. It means helping companies that quite often help people save through corporate pension plans, do it in a way that is efficient and that follows the law. It means helping life insurance companies, for whom this can be one of the most interesting and growing parts of the life business, write this new pension business in an efficient way that works. And then lastly, it means helping insurance agents write this business in a way that is in keeping with the law and in an efficient way such that they don't get cut out by all these price comparison sites. So at the end of the day, making pension accessible to us means cleaning up the left-hand side, the mess that you see there, and bringing people onto our neat, beautiful xbAV platform. Now, in doing so, we need to address the core pain points that each of our 4 main stakeholders have. I'm going to start with the German market, which is our core market. So when you look at it from the consumer's perspective, in many cases, they need to be able to understand what retirement saving means for them. They need to have an overview of where they are and where they need to get to even broadly maintain their living standards. And unsurprisingly, in most cases, people do way too little and way too late. When you look at the life insurers, in order to be able to write this business efficiently at a time when interest rates are at ultra lows, it means being able to digitize most processes, and in particular, the communication with the companies and the consumers, such that they can focus on what they're best at, which is building great retirement saving products. For the agents, it means being able to essentially work through a fully guided sales process that allows them to sell what is one of the most complex life products, such that in the time it used to take them to sell 1 policy, now they can sell 3, because otherwise they're not going to be able to survive in this business. And then lastly, it allows companies to offer one of the most important employee benefits that they can in a way that's A, compliant with the law, but B, that actually allows them to do so at acceptable cost. Because in most cases, let's face it, it's actually small and medium-sized companies who should be helping their employees, but in most cases, they don't, because they lack the resources and they lack the understanding. And we try to address all 4 of those key concerns. Now, how big of an issue is the actual management of pension policies? To give you a few numbers, and this is just starting with the German market, there are about 15 million of these occupational pension policies. So policies where the corporate helps the consumer save for retirement. There's actually a new law coming into force that adds another 15 million potential policies to that in Germany. It's called auto-enrollment, where everybody gets a pension from their employer unless they actively opt out, which, if you look at international comparison, is a really rare thing to do. And there are about 100 million of these types of policies that matter to us in Europe. Now, on average, about 100 to 200 euros are wasted on the pure administration of a policy each year. Now, is that a lot? Is that little? Well, to give you a sense, the typical person saves about 100 euros per month, so 1,200 euros per year. 100 to 200 euros of that gets wasted on basic things rather than efficiently communicating any changes you're making to your policy, to the insurer, to the corporate. People write letters to each other. They send faxes to each other. It's an incredibly slow and inefficient process. The same thing for any changes that the corporate wants to make. If you add up all these deadweight costs, it's about 100 to 200 euros per policy. You spread that over 100 million policies, that's 20 billion deadweight loss every year. If you can make that more efficient, if you can do that in a digital manner, then you're actually able to massively increase people's retirement income. Because these pension policies, they tend to run 20, 30, 40 years. Compounding that amount of money over a 30-year horizon brings a huge difference to people's retirement income. And allowing people to take their pension policy with them when they change from one job to another, and keeping them in policies that actually allow them to keep saving, can sometimes make the difference between 50 and 100% of their retirement income. It's one of those overlooked deadweight losses that, if you really can fix that bit, can bring a massive societal benefit. Now, how do we do this? We run a platform that has 3 key products linked to it. The first one is a management tool that allows companies and insurance agencies to communicate with each other in an efficient manner. And we tend to save costs somewhere between 80 to 90%, which is a massive improvement on where you were before. We help the insurance brokers do the advisory sessions in a way that's consumer-friendly in a fully digital manner. And then lastly, we give the consumer an overview of all their policies. We give an overview of where their state pension is going to come out and how they're comparing to where they need to be to even maintain broadly their existing standard of living. And on top of that, from next year, as I mentioned, there is this what we call auto-enrollment coming, where everybody gets a pension policy in Germany from their corporate unless they opt out. And that, again, we manage through this consumer account. Let me show you a few quick screens through the sort of products we have. So here, this is the management product for companies and insurers. It gives the transparency over all the existing policies that a corporate might have written for their consumers. It gives them the ability to communicate effectively with the insurer, including through an API where essentially you have your HR management software and it goes straight through to the insurer if there's a change to how much money people put into their pension pot, for instance. Then again, if we're in the world of the insurance broker, we give them a need-guided advisory process. We let them calculate when they sit down with a consumer what the impact of saving more or saving less would be on their retirement income. We do it pre-tax, we do it post-tax. We let the consumer really understand what's going on there. And quite often we tend to find, as a result of that, it helps the agent sell a lot more effectively, but it also helps people understand what they need to do to achieve their retirement objectives. And then lastly, everything gets processed straight through to the insurer. And then the final bit, our consumer account, where individuals get full transparency over all the savings they have, all the policies they have in place. It allows them to keep their policies when they change employer. a very important thing, because quite often, 1 in 3 policies is carried forward when people change jobs. Quite a lot of the time, they just leave it. They let it lapse, which means they get worse and worse and worse pension promises as time progresses. And then lastly, it allows us to give everybody a pension through this auto-enrollment system, where we're building the technology for some of the leading social partner groups, so the people who are actually going to be managing this auto-enrollment in Germany from next year onward. 1 or 2 things about our distribution model. We use a B2B2C distribution model, so we, out of a company of 110 people, have 3 people in sales. There are 33 million consumers in Germany who are eligible for this. What we do is we provide our technology, our solutions, to the largest life insurers, who then pay us for a basic version of the product and pass it on to their corporate clients so they can communicate with each other. The corporate can upgrade on top of that, so they have enhanced functionality. The life insurers, and they're really just 25 big ones in Germany in our market, they also use our advisory software and pass it on to their brokers, to their agents. Again, so we're very much building on a leverage or multiplier effect. And then lastly, these large social partner groups, so that's the unions, the employers, getting together, rolling out pensions for everybody in their sector. And again, there are about 50 of these in the country, which we actually do cover, but they multiply to up to 30 million consumers. To give you a bit of a sense of the clients we have, we're quite proud of them. Some of the big names in Germany. About 35% of the life insurers in Germany are our clients. On top of that, we have 4,500 insurance brokers live on our platform, and we have 1,000 companies on the platform with a payout volume of about 7 billion. That translates into a market share we already have with products that we launched about 18 to 24 months ago of 15%. What we're going to do next, we're going to implement our auto-enrollment solution, so everybody in Germany gets a pension automatically from their employer. We're going to launch a few more features to make everything fully digital where we haven't yet, and then we think we can rinse and repeat. We can expand internationally where you have very similar problems. So if you in any way find this approach to making pension accessible for everybody interesting, then we'd be delighted to have a chat. Thank you very much.